Imagine yourself being a seafarer when your ship suddenly gets boarded by pirates. Without hesitation, you pull out your scimitar, and with your other hand, you pull out your pistol. Two pirates come straight at you, and you fire at the first one. The bullet penetrates the first one, also killing the second one. With your other hand, you deflect a blow from another pirate, and you kill him instantly by slitting his throat, making him drop to the floor, and he's bleeding to death. If you ever wanted to play that stereotypical dual-wielding scimitar and pistol pirate or seafarer, now is your chance, because now you can with the new Buccaneer subclass from Kobold Press. Hi there fellow roleplayers and game masters. Today I want to shine a light on one of the coolest, if not the coolest subclass I've seen in the last couple of months for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and I'm talking about this one, the Buccaneer for the fighter, which is based around that very cool idea of a pirate or another seafarer using a pistol in one hand and a sword or a scimitar or light axe, whatever light weapon they want to use, in the other hand, which I think is really cool. Now this subclass I like it for both things. First of all, it plays into something that I've always wanted it to do in Dungeons & Dragons, and it is thematically, it is just completely correct. It is really cool subclass, but also it just works. The numbers make sense, everything makes sense. It is strong, but not unbalanced, and you can do a heck of a lot of cool stuff with this subclass. So what I want to do, kind of guide you through my building idea to build it all the way up to level 7, because that's where this class really gets really strong, and just show you why I think it's really cool. Now, this is not a power build as if to like break the game or whatever, but it is going to be kind of a strong build that does exactly what I want this character and this class to do. So it is, of course, a fighter subclass, which is called a fighter martial archetype. And as a fighter, you can only choose your archetype when you reach level 3. So at level 1, we're already going to prepare to be better at things once we reach level 3 and get to pick this archetype. So there's two things we need to do. First of all, when we pick our race, I'm going to go for human. The reason for that is, of course, we all know it, we all love it, we get a free feat at level 1. Now we have to pick a feat, and we're going to have to pick a fighting style. Now there's the fighting style, there's actually two options you can take, because the book here gives a new fighting style called gunfighting. When you roll a 1 on a damage die for an attack you make with a weapon with the gunpowder property, so a pistol, you can re-roll the die and must use the new roll even if the roll is also a 1, which is the cool feature. It's a cool fighting style, but I personally would absolutely advise to go, if you build a fighter around having ranged attacks as a big part of your build, not like the only part of your build, but a big part of your build, the archery fighting style, at least in the first tier of the game, is always going to be a very good and solid option. So I'm going to take the archery fighting style, because it doesn't say that you have to shoot with a bow and arrow or a crossbow to have that. No, it gives you a +2, rules as written, on all ranged attacks you do. So also with, of course, a pistol. So we are already better at shooting our pistol because we get this +2. Now I have to take a feat at level 1, because after all I am a human and I get a free feat, and I want to take the gunner feat. Now there's a little bit of overlap here, because in the bullet and blade thing you get at level 3 when you become the Buccaneer. It already says, when fighting in this fashion, being within 5 feet of a hostile creature does not impose disadvantage on your ranged attack rolls with the pistol. So there is a little bit of overlap here, but the main reason, there's actually two reasons I want to take the gunner feat. First of all, I can increase my dexterity, but it's not like the sole reason, because there's a lot of feats that do that, but I can increase my dexterity, making me more accurate. But what I really want is ignoring the loading property, because at level 5 we get this extra attack. Now this gives us a lot of versatility once we reach level 5 and we are a Buccaneer who is dual wielding, because when we become a Buccaneer at level 3, we get a feature where we can dual wield with a sword and a pistol, or like any light weapon and a pistol, like a light axe or whatever, and a pistol. Normally you get to attack when you're level 5, you get to use your action to attack twice with your melee weapon, and then once with your bonus action with your offhand, basically. But what you can do, rules as written, you can switch those around if you want. If you decide to stay a little bit back, you can use your pistol in your main hand to make those 2 attacks, and then use your bonus action in your offhand to make an attack with your sword. But you normally wouldn't be able to do that if you have the a weapon that has the loading property, because loading means that even if you have 2 attacks within 1 action or bonus action, you only get to make 1 attack. But the feat says we can ignore that, meaning that if we get more attacks, like with the fighter at level 5 we get 2 attacks, we can use our action to make 2 attacks, either with our sword or with our gun, depending which one is on our main hand, and then we get to attack with a bonus action with our offhand. So this gives us a lot of versatility, and this is what I really like about it. We can like really choose, do I get up and personal and start slashing into everybody and then shoot with my pistol point blank, because being within 5 feet of somebody does not impose disadvantage if you're a Buccaneer, or do I stay a little bit back and I just shoot people with my pistol from afar, and when they come at me, that's when I start shooting them and hacking into them, which makes it a really cool, versatile class. Now there's a little disclaimer that comes with that, because they say if your 2-weapon fighting bonus action is made with the pistol, you can add your dexterity modifier to the damage of that attack. And they're absolutely right for saying that, because with dual wielding, if you do not have any fighting styles or feats that are specifically for dual wielding, you do not get to add your dexterity or strength modifier or whatever to your second attack with your bonus attack. The attack you do with your bonus action does not get any extra damage from modifiers from your ability scores. So if you switch around your pistol and your sword, then your pistol gets all of the stuff it needs, but your sword hand will become a little less powerful because you do not have the 2-weapon fighting feat or the 2-weapon fighting style, so you do not get to add your dexterity bonus to the damage of that attack, but you're still able to do dual wielding. And now it gets interesting, because we are jumping to level 3. Of course, at level 2 we get Action Surge. Yay for Action Surge, because Action Surge is just a really good feature for the fighter, where we get like more attacks or more stuff to do, especially when you are a sailor and you're fighting people, but you also have to keep like sails up and you have to do all kinds of stuff around the deck. It's really cool to have an Action Surge to maybe like drag somebody out of the sea. But other than that, when we take this, we gain proficiency with gunsmith tools, water vehicles, we get advantage on strength checks made to climb or swim, which I really like, and it's really thematic, really makes sense. And at level 3, like I said, when you engage in 2-weapon fighting with a melee weapon and you're holding in one hand, if you use a pistol in the other hand in place of a light melee weapon to make the bonus action attack. So now we are really versatile in a way, like main hand sword, offhand pistol, or the other way around, because we are ignoring the loading property of the pistol, which isn't really useful now, but at level 5, when we get the extra attack, that's when it really gets really useful to ignore the loading property, because we can get more attacks with the pistol when we choose so to do it with our main hand. Also, we don't provoke disadvantage when we shoot within 5 feet of somebody, and we can add dexterity modifier to the damage of our gun if we use it in our offhand and we attack with it in a bonus action. But this is where the class really shines. It's gun mastery.
All right then.
Burst maneuvers. Now, Cobalt Press introduces a rule which are called bursts. They're later in the book somewhere, and I will just summarize it. Every time when you shoot a weapon that has gunpowder, right? That has the gunpowder property, when you roll a die, that is the maximum of that die. So for example, a pistol doing 1d10 damage, you shoot it, you roll your die, and you roll a 10. You get to re-roll it and add your re-roll to the amount of damage you've done. Better yet, you can keep doing that as long as you keep rolling maximum. So let's say you roll a 10, you get to re-roll and you roll another 10, you get to freaking re-roll again. Now, you get to do that as many times as you have a proficiency bonus. So let's say you have a proficiency bonus of 3, you get to re-roll it 3 times in a row if you keep making like the maximum, which will happen every now and then. Like with a d10, every 1 in 10 attacks, you will have that burst. And whenever you get get that burst. It does the extra damage, which is called a burst, but you also can choose 2 burst maneuvers you can use in that situation. And that is really cool because with gunpowder, like the first guns that people used, they were really like, nobody really knew what was going to happen. If you fired one, you could have like a misfire or whatever, or like a burst. And there are a few bursts in here that you can use. Now, I think there are 3 bursts in here that I really like. I only get to choose 2. I get to choose 1 more later in this class. But the first one being penetrating shot. If your target is large or smaller, the burst causes the shot to go through your target. If another creature is within 10 feet of the target and a direct line can be drawn from the creature to you, the original target is between them, must succeed dexterity saving throw or take the same damage. That is so freaking cool. By the way, the dex save stuff is right here. 8+ proficiency plus dexterity modifier. So you get to shoot through a person. Like, now, that's really situational. I realize that, especially if you're playing with miniatures on maps, it's really situational. But after all, you're probably playing a seafarer or whatever, so the chances are you're playing on board on the deck of a ship. So there's a lot of people like standing behind other people, but it's still very situational to do. I play mostly theater of the mind, so I, as a dungeon master, would like try to interpret it and try to make it cool in the way that it often happens, and it's often the case, but not like always the case. So people actually feel like they can use this every now and then, which is really cool. If they shoot a person, like they shoot 2 people with 1 bullet, it's really cool. Powerful shot is also very cool. The target must succeed on a strength saving throw or be knocked prone by the burst. This makes sense because you are a fighter after all, and you're holding a sword in the other hand. And if you first use your bonus action to fire and then knock somebody prone, you can then walk up to them, and if you're level 5, attack them twice with advantage because you knocked them prone, which is a really good combination of doing a ton of damage to one person in 1 turn, because you can shoot them, knock them prone, and attack them with advantage after that, which is really cool. There's also like Smoke Cloud and Soft Spot and Hubble and Deafening Blast. And then there is the target succeeds strength saving throw, like the unsteadying shot. The burst stabilizes the target. The target must succeed on a strength saving throw or have disadvantage on all attacks until the start of your next turn. Like, you really shoot somebody, like you hit their ear or something like that, right? And they're dizzy and they don't really know what's going on, and they get disadvantage on all their attacks and just swinging their sword around or shooting people with their crossbows or whatever. I think this is a really cool way of having that feeling of the Battle Master subclass from the fighter, but translating it into the gun mastery type of thing. But also having the randomness of you never know when it is going to happen, because after all, you're shooting with gunpowder and nobody really ever knows what's going to happen every time you shoot with gunpowder. Why do I like to go up to level 7? Well, the first reason is, for me personally, tier 2 is where the most fun is in Dungeons & Dragons. The players get more powerful, the monsters get more abilities, you as a dungeon master have more tools, there are magic items involved, the story gets more epic. For me, tier 2 is just where it is at. And at level 7, this guy gets a really cool feature that almost makes it like a dragon killer or something like that. But before we do that, we still have level 4, where we get this feat, where I would take the resilient feat and just pump it into dexterity. Just get even more dexterity. We're getting dexterity from our stat increase, we're getting dexterity from the gunner feat, now we're getting dexterity from the resilient feat, which also gives us the proficiency on saving throws for dexterity, which makes us proficient in strength, constitution, and dexterity saving throws, which is like really good for a fighter. Having dexterity saving throws to just like evade damage from dragons and fireballs and stuff like that. And then at level 5, of course, we get that extra attack feature. We are already a dual wielder who has a ton of attacks, but now we get more attacks because we have the extra attack feature. And if we hold our pistol in our main hand, we can basically attack twice with it. If we hold our sword in our main hand, we can attack twice with that one and attack in our bonus action with our pistol and add our dexterity modifier do the damage, and since we have been pumping a lot of points in dexterity, that damage is going to be a heck of a lot of damage. But also, then there is the level 6 stat increase or feat. I would again take a feat just to personalize this completely, and I would go for the alert feat. Alert is a really good feat for just moving, being the first one to act. And just not being surprised. But being the first one to act is really cool, especially for something like powerful shots, because if you are the first one to act, there's this guy comes at you, right? There's an orc charging you, but you are the first one to act. You might be able to knock him prone and attack him twice with advantage, which might kill him outright, like in that turn, or maybe the rogue is right behind you and then he attacks with a crossbow or whatever and snipes the orc or the big boss, whatever. It can be really important for a character like this to be the first one to act. And then at level 7, I have to do a thingy here. Yes, at level 7, we get the deck fighter feature. I really like this. At 7th level, your training keeps you nimble, allowing you to maintain balance and reflexive responses at the worst of times. When you fail a dexterity saving throw, you can choose to succeed instead. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. And you regain all expanded uses after a long rest. So with a proficiency bonus of 3 times a day, we can choose to succeed on a dexterity saving throw. We're already proficient in dexterity saving throws, making us very hard to hit with all of those area of effect things and spells and abilities. There's so many area of effect abilities in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition that require a dex save, that this, in combination with being proficient in dex saves, is really, really powerful. And really quickly, to just be clear on the potential this class has at, let's say, level 5. We have this action surge. Let's say we have our sword in our main hand and our pistol in our other hand, right? If we use our action surge, we will have a total of 4 attacks with the sword and 1 attack with the pistol. Because we have 2 attacks with the sword for our main action. Then if we use our action surge to attack again, we have 2 more. And then if we use our bonus action to attack, we can attack with the pistol another 1 more time as a bonus action. And we can add our dexterity, blah, 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 to it, which makes it do a ton of damage. Now the potential here is really great, because if you use your bonus action, you can really play into this. If you every turn, you start your turn by using your bonus action for shooting the guy in front of you, and you just wait until you get that burst. 1 out of 10, you get that burst, and when you do, you try to knock the enemy prone. Now, when you are able to attack the guy and you knock him prone, you will be able to run up to him, if he's not already in front of you, but you'll be able to run up to him, use your speed to run up to him, attack him twice, and attack him twice again with action surge, all with advantage, giving you higher crit chances, higher damage chances, and just making you an epic fighter overall. And that's about it. Now, I realize there's probably 1,000 more ways to build this Buccaneer, to build this gunslinger, even more powerful, even better. But for me, thematically, and the numbers just make sense to build that fighter, that pirate that I've always wanted to play in a game like Dungeons & Dragons. So there's 2 people I want to thank, like there's 2 instances that I want to thank. First of all, Blind Jedi from my Discord channel for helping me out with this. He's always like searching for good builds and just stuff that is generally awesome from different third-party creators. If you want to join my Discord, by the way, link description below. And also Cobalt Press for creating this book. If I'm not mistaken, 9 September is when this is for sale for the public. Of course, the Kickstarter backers already gotten their copy, including myself. But for the general public, 9 September, but you can already pre-order it. The link is in the description below. And until next video, bye-bye.
Count on that. Wet powder.